After years of uncertainty around COVID, most people can agree that, for many of our systems, normal was never good enough. And that's especially true when it comes to education in North Carolina. The shocking truth is that before COVID, only 35% of North Carolina's fourth graders could read on grade level. And when you broke that down even further, you saw a huge learning gap between economically disadvantaged students and their more affluent peers. And COVID only broadened those gaps. As a result, communities across the state had to respond quickly because not every student had even the most basic support and resources they needed to be successful. So, food was delivered, devices were handed out, Wi-Fi hotspots were established. But for most students, there was still something missing. Turns out the most important access issue during the pandemic was also the most important issue before and after the pandemic. An issue that was both very visible, but not as obvious as the others. Access to a well-prepared, highly supported educator. You see, inequitable access to highly effective educators is partially because of a thinning pipeline into and through the profession. And that problem has only gotten worse. That leaves fewer schools with adequately prepared, effective, experienced, or even fully licensed teachers. And this problem has become catastrophic in higher poverty schools. So, what's going on here? Well, think about it this way. When it comes to education, there's one thing we can all agree on. Educators are the single most important school factor for student success. Even our state constitution emphasizes the importance of effective educators and school leaders in ensuring a sound basic education for all students. But many educators across the state agree. They don't feel as though they are treated with the respect, support, and professionalism that kind of responsibility carries. And why not? Educators are just as capable, dedicated, and driven as other highly skilled professionals. So why is their experience so different? Well, believe it or not, the difference is about 100 years of innovation. Unlike other industries, most of our nation's education system is still organized more like a factory from the 1800s than a modern, human-centered organization in the 21st century. And what does that have to do with educators' professional experiences? Well, try looking at it this way. Can you imagine what it would be like if our high-tech companies and service industries functioned like factories ran a century ago? How would the employees feel? If an organization doesn't evolve, it won't be able to recruit, let alone retain, the best and brightest when they can find a job that treats them like the unique professionals they are. You see, we're already 2 decades into the 21st century, and yet our educators are preparing our students for the modern economy while working in an educational environment that was designed in the 1800s. Sure, the technology and the curriculum have definitely changed. But the way we organize our schools and classrooms and the way we treat our education professionals has barely changed at all. Educators face outdated working conditions that treat them, in many ways, like indistinguishable factory workers whose job it is to mass produce a single, one-size-fits-all product. The current education system ignores the unique skills and capacities of both teachers and students. And often, beginning teachers have the most challenging classrooms, more challenging than their colleague next door. The thing is, even though they're only a room over, it's difficult for either of them to step away from their posts to get or give the mentorship and support they need. And what about their boss? Principals are the chief executives of their schools. They're in charge of every aspect of operation, from student learning to building sanitation, and everything else in between. So, given the size, complexity, and importance of their work, principals should be given the preparation, the support, and the autonomy they need to be successful. But think about this. Because of the archaic nature of our education funding model, most principals don't even have access to their own school's budgets. And the education system is so outdated, the average principal has 50 direct reports. That's literally every single person in the school building. Just imagine all the paperwork. And over time, their roles as coaches and mentors have been reduced to little more than a checklist and a few quick observations. Look, we know that our educators are constantly striving to grow, collaborate, and innovate as professionals. But it's the system they work in that makes that effort a heavy lift. That's why we believe it's time for educators to receive the respect, support, and resources that a practical, modern, human-centered organizational structure offers. So, what can that look like when we're talking about schools? Well, it looks like greater collaboration between classrooms, which means removing the barriers that keep teachers at their stations unable to ask for meaningful help. It looks like giving every educator the ability to exercise their professional judgment to personalize the experience of each student. It looks like career opportunities, which means adequately compensating educators for their roles as instructional leaders or for taking on more responsibility, offering them pathways to successfully reach more students while keeping them in the classroom, not only where they're most effective, but where they want to be. And it looks like intentionally recruiting and preparing exceptional school leaders, then giving them the support and autonomy they need to serve their uniquely challenging communities. Simply put, it's time we treat educators like the professionals they are, so students can receive the education they deserve. That's why Best NC is committed to ensuring a sound basic education for all students across North Carolina by increasing access to effective educators and empowered school leaders. To learn more about our work, visit bestnc.org.